Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Social Changemakers Podcast. I am your host, Khalilah Denney, here with my good friend, Jonathan Harris.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you. So, Jonathan, we're just going to get right into it. I'm glad you showed up today. I was a little concerned. I was like, my man ain't texting me, but you're a man of your words, so I don't even know why I was worried.
Showed up early.
You showed up early, yes, for sure, ready and prepared. Yes, so I appreciate that.
I'm trying to live by what I say and what I teach. I teach the young people to early is on time.
Yes.
On time is late.
That's right.
Late is unacceptable.
Come on now.
So I'm trying to walk the same walk that I'm talking.
Amen. 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 I appreciate that. Well, the reason why I asked you to come on the podcast today is because, we are working to highlight change makers in our community. I've been working with you in the church for several years now, and I have seen the work that you have done, through the nonprofit that you work with, through the business that you own, and just through the way your integrity at our church and how you operate. So I wanted to shine the light on you today and give you an opportunity to share with our audience, who you are, what your success story is, like where you are today. And we're going to talk about, how you got there, a little bit about your childhood coming up. And, we're going to see where the conversation goes. How do you feel about that?
Okay, you trying to get in the dirt?
I'm trying to get all of the Yes, okay. Yes. So let's start off about who you are today. What do you do, and what do you want our audience to know about who you are today?
Who am I today? First and foremost, I am hopefully I'm trying to be a servant of God.
All right.
But I'm a husband. Been married going on 26 years this year. Been my wife for 30 years. I'm a father. I have 4 children and 2 grandchildren. 38-year-old, 24-year-old, 21-year-old, and 17-year-old.
Okay.
He's 16. He'll be 17 in a couple months.
So you old?
No,
you're getting up there.
I'm not. I don't like to use the word old. Season.
Season. Okay.
Season is much better.
Yes, I like that word too. Mm-hmm.
And so, what else do I do? I'm executive director of life skills at the House DC, which is a Christian nonprofit organization over in Southeast Washington, DC. And I've been there for, this will be 18 years. We're actually celebrating 25 years of having our doors open in Anacostia.
Awesome.
And so, and president of a moving company, Harris Moving Company. And so, that's who I am.
Oh,
that's what I'm doing these days.
Wonderful. So I'm loving the fact that you've got a beautiful family. You got grandbabies and kids and a wife.
Yeah.
How long have you been married?
We've been married for 25 years. Got married in 98.
Yeah.
So this year will be 26.
So for the young men in the room who, are helping us, give them some words of wisdom as it relates to, just give me one point that they could, maybe take back with them and understand as they're looking for their wife.
You know what? I realized the most powerful thing that I have in terms of my wife is a praying wife. Have someone who is spiritually grounded. I believe if you have God and a good spouse and a good, for the brothers, a good woman, she's not going to be perfect. None of us are.
That's right.
I think a lot of times we look for perfection. We want this, and don't always focus on the exterior, because God looks at the heart, and we need to we need to understand who that person is in the inside, because we can date somebody who's fine as all get out, got everything you want exteriorly, external, but you realize their personality, you realize that you guys are not meshing together. I don't know, I've had some experiences, dated some really beautiful women, but just had foul attitudes and dispositions. And what I realized is I just wanted someone who was beautiful from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's important, because that's who you're going to live with.
I'm glad to hear it. I know you have a beautiful wife. Trish is just an amazing woman, right?
She is.
So I'm glad you shared that with them. One of the things that we do here is what we call Denney family values. So we'll pick back up on something like that later, and we'll do a whole interview on that kind of topic.
Denney family values.
Denney's family values. Yes. So for now, I'd love to learn more about the House DC and your time there, and tell us what the House DC does.
Okay. The House DC it started off in 1999. It's a high school after school program. And it was purposely designed. A lot of people think of after school programs as academic. This program was actually started just to get the young people off the street. And so back in 99, when they started the House DC, and it was started by two former football players, retired football players.
One of my good friends.
Ricky Bolden.
Yes.
Ricky Bolden, Steve Fitzhugh, Lon Solomon, who was the pastor of McLean Bible Church. And I want to say it was a deacon. I want to say his name was Ron Johnson. Those, I believe, were the founders. And they started this program just to get the young people off the street. The area where this nonprofit was considered one of the roughest areas in DC. As a matter of fact, the police had already labeled that area as Murder Row. And the reason why they named it Murder Row is because there were more murders within a 3-block radius than anywhere in the city. And so it's a rough area, very impoverished. And the nonprofit was started again just to kind of get the young people off the street. We serve them a dinner. We have we have what we call our trademark at the House DC.
Okay.
And one of the things is food. We feed them a snack and we feed them dinner. And that is a big draw. We're very relational in regards to the young people. It's all about relationship.
Right.
For some of these young people, they have been through so much trauma. They've been through so many life-altering changes in their life that we just kind of come in and love on them. So being relational is extremely important. We have a state-of-the-art studio. A recording studio has been there since 1999, and that is a trademark that everyone knows. House DC has a recording studio. And the last one is we're not just a faith-based organization, we're a Christian organization. And so we do a life session once a week. Now, any other day, every day of the week, you can do whatever you want. But for 20 minutes, one day a week, we sit down with the young people and we talk about whatever it is they might be going through. Might bring up one of the songs that they'll listen to and just kind of compare it to what is that God says and try to put it on their level. And so what I do is I really focus on the seniors and the next level students. So because we've been there since 1999, I have a lot of students that have already graduated from the House DC, but they're still transitioning in life in terms of whether it's career, whether it's job, college. It might just be support in regards to getting ready to get married or moving, whatever transition in life that they're going through is what I try to assist them with.
Well, how would a young person get familiar or become a member of the House DC or someone at the House DC serves? Tell me how the youth get connected with the House DC.
Well, the House DC is pretty much an open door. The young people come in, and again, this is a rough area, and because DC is kind of territorial, a lot of people from whether it's Northwest, Northeast won't come over in Southeast because of the territory areas that we have. In terms of the programming that we do, or more in terms of the life skills, it's just a matter of just reaching out to the House DC. So anyone 18 or over, those students I work for, it's the whole DMV area and beyond. So, if there's a young person that wants to make a change in their life, if there's a young person that wants to do something with their life, and I'm gonna hold you accountable. And I'm not the nicest guy in the world, when it comes to, when it comes to your future.
Right.
Because if you come to me, then I need to know you're serious. Don't waste my time. I'm not going to waste your time. But I will use and I will work my butt off. And I tell young people, I work for you.
Right.
your success is my success, and I'm compared by your success. So if you just saying you want some help, you want to get a job because it sounds good, and you checking the box for probation, the judge, your parents, or whatever, I'm not that guy. But if you really want to do something, with your life, yeah, I'm that guy. We're gonna both work.
Understood. So just to make sure I'm clear and that the audience understands. So if I live in Prince George's County, which is right around the corner from the House DC, and I, feel like I need a safe place to just go and, woosah, is the House DC someplace I can come to?
The House DC, like I said, the doors are open. The doors are, there is no, oh, you can't come. Everyone is welcome. And so that is one of the things that makes the House DC a special place.
I agree.
Now, like I said, some people have come over there, it's like, ooh, it's rough out here.
So don't take it back.
I had a former drug dealer back in the day he came out and speak to some of the young guys, and he called me when he was outside. He said, do I need to strap up? Do I get out the car? And I was like, nah, man, you good.
You good. Yeah. Okay. Well, if anyone wanted to reach out to the House DC, what's the best way to do that?
Best way to do that is email. You can email me. You can call me. Email is jonathan.harris@thehousedc.org, and Jonathan is spelled JONATHAN.HARRIS at the House DC, THEHOUSE DC.org. That's probably the best way.
Okay.
Instead of throwing my number out there, everybody.
Got you. I understand you trying to get them digits out. We get it. And load up your phone.
Shoot me an email. I will respond.
Yeah.
And then I'll give you my number.
Once you find out they're serious.
Yeah, you gotta want to make there comes a point in time in your life where I believe everyone has that aha moment, like I need to do something with my life.
Yeah.
And hopefully, as a father, we want that aha moment to come while they're in high school and when they're young. But for some of us, like me, I was 27 when the little light came on. I was like, ooh, I need to do something with my life.
Yeah.
So, and I just want to be that support for when you get that aha moment.
Yeah.
I want to do something with my life. That's when you can call me.
Gotcha. Well, is there anything else you think we need to know as it relates to the House DC before we move on to any other topic?
No, the House, we're going to be talking about that.
Yeah.
I will bring in the House DC a lot in regards to stories and just a lot of my experiences.
Yeah.
Especially over the last 18 years there.
Because you're going to be on the podcast, the Social Changemakers Podcast, on a regular basis, right?
That's what they say. That was the rumor.
Y'all heard it here, right?
That was the rumor. We might have to switch the days.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to figure it out. But we'd love to have you as a consistent presence here on the podcast, as my co-host, having conversations. One of the major points of me starting this is to share with the community what it looks like to be successful in a nonprofit space, what it looks like to have partnerships and how those partnerships impact your growth and your impact in the community. The reason why I've been so successful at the Denney House is because of the partnerships that we have made over the years. I truly do believe that is a skill that any nonprofit who's looking to grow their finances, who's looking to grow their relationships, who's looking to grow at all, they need to do it with others, other like-minded organizations, people who are serving the same people that they're serving. Getting to understand and know what programs that they may have in place that are in line, or just it may not necessarily be the same thing you're doing, but brings value to what you're doing, right? And I think the House DC does that for us as well. Yeah,
partnership is everything in nonprofits, and I think just to kind of piggyback off that, working with nonprofits that's not doing what you're doing. There's a lot of strength in that.
Yeah.
for one, it kind of breaks apart the competition.
Okay.
In regards to, if you're working, the Denny House works with ex-offenders.
Right.
I work with ex-offenders, but I also work with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And ex-offenders is part of one of the things that I do.
Right.
But because that's not something that I specialize in, you are a great partner. So when I need help or when I need assistance or if a referral from a young guy, I can say, okay, if I can help you, I can call the Denny House. So I work with ex-offenders, but I don't necessarily, that's not my only niche, in regards to in terms of the nonprofit. So what I do is I will look to my partners who specialize in working with ex-offenders, because you have more resources in terms of working with the House DC, working with the Denny House, and that's what you specialize in. You are already plugged into so many things that I'm not even aware of. And so those partners are your strong partners, the ones that do not have what you have, and I'm able to actually utilize your skills, your network, to be able to help the individual that I'm working with.
Well, I'm glad you shined the light on that, because I've never thought about it that way. Yeah. That is really, really good. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense now. When I think about like certain people that I've run across, I'm outside all the time. I'm networking. I'm going to different events. So now I need to be thinking, okay, well, let's what lane are you in, and kind of figure out how that lane could possibly support the work that I'm doing down the line. It doesn't necessarily have to be what I'm doing or serving the people that I'm serving, but it could still be a value add down the line. So I appreciate that perspective, sir.
Not a problem.
Yes. So, okay, well, I'm going to shift gears just a little bit. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the business that you brought up. You said that you have your own for-profit entity. You kind of skated on it. I know the House DC is where your heart is, but let's talk about the business that you run.
The business I run is, it's kind of like a mom and pop. It's a mom and pop operation. It's called the Harris Moving Company. My father started in 1953. When I was 14, back in 1979. I'm telling my age.
Wow. I said it earlier, y'all. Y'all heard me right.
He had me out on the
season.
He had me out on the truck. I didn't. It didn't matter if you didn't want to go. Like, okay, there's a job today, son. Okay, right. We went up at 6:30. We got to be on the road by 7, and the job starts at 8. Yeah. And so, I started working with my father back in 79. Took over the moving company back in 84, and been doing it ever since. The last time that I advertised was actually 1988. Okay. So all the jobs have been strictly through referrals or repeat customer. Yeah. And so the moving business is a great, it served me well in regards to supplemental income. Because, nonprofit doesn't pay a whole lot of money. So, having a side hustle is always a good thing. But having a for-profit business, I believe, with the nonprofit is also wise. And so, I don't, even though the House DC is not my nonprofit, that is something that the House DC had looked at for years in terms of what for-profit business, just to kind of offset the funding.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of times nonprofits think, all they have to do is go out after grants, right? Like my type of nonprofit, that's one of I'll say a third of the funding that we get is through grants. However, when I think about the work that you guys do, I'm not sure if you guys use grants for your nonprofit, right?
We do use grants, but that's a very small percentage, because grants are good. Yeah. They come, sometimes, if you're fortunate to, get a big grant, you can you can do a lot, with the big grant. The issue that I have seen with grants, they're not longevity. They're not something that you can kind of bank on and be consistent with. You get the money, you get the resources, and there are a lot of conditions that come with some of those grants, depending on where the grants come from.
Right.
And so for the House DC, I want to say less than 10% of the money that we receive come from actual grants.
Yeah, that makes sense because the Denney House is also a Christian-based organization, and it is hard for us to get funding because of that. Because a lot of times it is conditioned to, okay, well, we don't want to support any kind of religious activity or whatever, right? So we just find other ways to make money, right?
So let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
How long has the Denney House been in business?
For 10 years. 10 years. A whole decade.
And you've been a Christian organization for 10 years.
For 10 years, a whole decade.
The House DC has been in business for 25 years.
Yeah. And
we're a Christian organization. And I bring that up. I bring that up because back in 2005, I had started my own nonprofit. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things, myself and the board, we were going back and forth. Do we want to make this a religious, a Christian organization? And the debate was, well, we're not going to get the funding because of the religious entity. Mm-hmm. And I believe that one of the things that God brought me to the house was to actually show me that, no, you can have a nonprofit, your nonprofit can flourish, and keeping me involved in your nonprofit, right, and not being ashamed and not worry about the money, because he's our ultimate provider. He's the ultimate source. And so I just wanted to spotlight that your doors haven't closed in 10 years.
That's right.
Our doors haven't closed in 25 years.
We both survived COVID.
Yeah. And, and I say that to say, because there were nonprofits, and they get these grants. And I'll be honest with you, I was, like, wow, like, oh man, they got $1 million grant, or, they got, like $600,000 grant. I wish we could get. But those nonprofits that I looked upon in awe, they're not in business now.
Right.
And we've done nothing but grow. Yeah. So has the Denney House.
That's right.
And so, but God's math and the way He does things is not, it's not to really be understood by our natural minds.
That's right.
So, don't be afraid, of keeping Christ, in your nonprofit.
That's right. And in your for-profit business.
In your for-profit. Exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things I know about you that you haven't mentioned yet that I'd like you to shine some light on is the kind of people that you support in your for-profit business, the type of individual that you're looking to hire. You really support, a group of folk that everybody may not decide they want to hire. So let's talk about your hiring practices and anything you'd like to share in that vein.
I believe in second chances. I believe I was a knucklehead, so there are people years ago that would never think that I would have gotten to where I am today because of my lifestyle, and because of that, I work with young brothers, and and it's not just brothers. But, if you had, if there's something on your background, we'll sit down and we'll talk about it. Because I believe what you did last year, what you did 5 years ago, should not stop you from doing from going forward. Right. And I think society, we have a way, especially within the Black community, and I hate to say that, the society has a way of putting a label on someone and not allowing that label to ever leave them. Yeah. And so, I utilize young people on my moving business. But also I utilize them for a couple of reasons. I utilize them to training. Mm-hmm. Work ethic is everything. Yeah. And so, just even with getting there early, customer service is everything to me. Yeah. That's my number one question at the end of every job, and that's to the customer. Were you satisfied? Right. Is there anything that we can do to improve our service? We just did a job the other day, and I asked the customer, I said, I need you to grade my guys. Right. I need you to, tell me everything, tell me anything that you didn't like about it, so that we can constantly improve. And so, teaching young people those skills, those soft skills, communication, eye contact,
Right.
handshake. There's so much more than just lifting up a box and putting it on the truck. You have to learn. The young people have to learn how to interact with the customer. And so years ago, I had this saying, and I got, and it wasn't that I started with this saying. It started with I have stories, so I'm trying not to be long winded. But I was on a movie job, and the customer's husband wanted the sofa downstairs, and myself and other worker, we knew it wouldn't go downstairs, and we told him it's not going to go downstairs. We barely got the love seat downstairs. We barely got the love seat. I know the sofa's not going to go. The husband just swore up and down, like, "Oh, y'all just don't know what you're talking about." I was like, "Okay, so sign this, because I'm going to let you know. Let me tell you what's going to happen. We are going to damage the sofa. We're going to damage your walls. And when it's all said and done, the sofa's still not going to go down there." And so my partner who I was working with, he caught an attitude. And I had to tell him the next day, I says, "You can't catch an attitude. Our job is to do whatever the customer says." And so my saying back in the day was, it doesn't matter if the customer wants the sofa on a roof. Only thing that we need to come out of our mouth is like, "Okay, so do you want to face the sunrise or the sunset?" So whatever they want, you make sure that you accommodate their customer.
Yeah.
And so I hope that answers your question. I don't know.
It did. It answered my question. I wanted to, shine light on the fact that you are a second chance employer. And that's important to me. We here at the Denney House, as well as Denney's Consulting, Horseshoe Family Farm, we think about who we're hiring from a perspective of, there's so many jobs out here. And there's a lot of individuals who want an opportunity, who are not afforded one because of their background or because of something they've done, or just because they're young and people just don't want to give them a chance.
Right.
And for me, I am always looking for an opportunity to provide opportunity to our young people. So that's why the young folk are the ones, behind the scenes, running this thing. Sometimes you're going to see young people in front of the camera, because it's important to us that we give them access to opportunity. So I just wanted to applaud you for that. That's another reason why I consider you a social change maker, because of the fact that you go above and beyond to support those who need it most.
I appreciate that. I like to put a plug in. If a lot of people, we need to talk to our older, we need to talk to the older generation. And because one of the things that it looks like in our community is we have older gentlemen who are dying with their skills and not passing it down and not giving it, and I don't think that's right. And I think as a community, I think we're going to really fall behind. Now, other communities, and and I have nothing, I literally just left talking to a Latino contractor, but one of the things that I've noticed within the Latino community, they bring their sons, they pass those skills down, and so it seems as though in our culture, in our community, we don't have the patience for our young people, and I think we have to have the patience. We have to. It's hard. But if we do not give our young people, if we do not teach them skills, then I think we're going to have problems down the road.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
If you know people who have skills, work with their hands, carpentry, electrician, plumbing, auto mechanics, anything, that a young person can learn, can live by. Because the more skills you have in life, the better, the more success you're going to have. And one of the things that I like talking, I tell young people is, you want to put as many things as you can in your backpack. We all have a backpack,
right.
And what's it, so in my backpack, yes, it's nonprofit work. It's a CDL, truck driving, painting, moving. There are things in my backpack that if nonprofit's not working, I can do something else. But our young people need to learn, need to be able to have the opportunity to learn the skills that some of the older generation have been taught, and it's getting older.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, I appreciate that shout out and making us aware of how important it is for us to transfer those skills that we have
yes.
Learned. For the men and women who are out here who are, and I just want to talk to my hairstylists and all of those. You spoke to most of the jobs that the young men do, but we want to talk to the young ladies who have those skill sets that we want to pass down to our young girls as well. Hold us accountable, right? To share that information. So with that, I'd like to, I'd like for you to tell us how you develop this desire to help people. So now I'd like to talk to you about, what experiences, you've had that, made you who you are today. Just share with us, what how you develop this desire to help the young people, to help those in need, to want to serve in the way that you serve.
I want to say it was in me at a young age, and I didn't know it. I started counseling simply because I was doing a moving job. I was moving DC ARC, which was the ARC, DC Association for Retarded Citizens. And one of the supervisors said, "You'd make a good counselor." And I said, "Okay." I was like, I never heard that before, but okay. And I said, "Yes, but I don't have any experience in counseling." She says, "I'm sure if the hiring manager met you, that she'd hire you." I was like,
"Okay,
really?" I was like, "Okay." She says, "I'm the hiring manager." I was like, "Oh," So she says, "All you have to do is apply." Wow. And so I applied, and I started working with the mentally challenged, and that was back in the late '80s. But simultaneously, I'd been a small time drug dealer.
Okay.
Okay.
Now it's getting juicy.
Just small time.
Right.
I started probably 1979. Okay, selling joints.
Oh, okay. He was a weed man.
Yeah, well, that was back in the '70s. That's all they did.
Yeah.
But and that escalated, over the years, and working with the mentally challenged was I actually started selling more drugs. Unfortunately.
Why you think the change or the reason for that?
Well, crack hit. Crack came out. And I always felt that, if you're gonna, one of the things that I saw in terms of the drug dealers was no one had a job. So I was a drug dealer with a job. I was a drug dealer with a job, and a student, because even when I had stopped going I went to Bowie State University. Even when I stopped going, I continued to register for classes just so I could be a student. So if I get in front of the judge, I could say, "Oh, he's a student." And I wouldn't get hit with a whole lot of time or whatever. So I thought I was smart, but I wasn't.
They looked at them grades and so you weren't showing up.
Well, exactly. Never thought about a GPA until I was trying. Until I got myself together and wanted to go back to school. They was like, "You have like a 0 point." It's like, yeah, that matters. It matters a lot. But my story, just to really tell you and to be transparent, my drug dealing turned into being a drug addict.
Okay.
And so I stopped working with the mentally challenged. I had started working with young brothers. I worked for Boys and Girls Club of Greater Washington, uptown in a group home. And it was emergency shelter group home.
Oh, that had to be
and fun. Actually, Actually, that job, I really want to say it was a hard job only because I was going through a transition. I was going through the drug, the drug use was coming to a decline. The drug dealing had stopped. Mm-hmm. And that was the only thing working there kept me accountable.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I remember it was, I would get depressed on paydays. I made $480 something, $82, something like that, $480 every 2 weeks, 80 hours.
Wow.
And I remember, I would look at my check and I would be like,
yeah, you never think about it like that.
Yeah, I was like, I can make this in an hour. It's taking me 80 hours. I can make this in an hour and it's taking me 80 hours. But because of the young guys, they looked up to me because the young guys that I worked with at that group home, I was like the big brother. Mm. And that's the way we operated. I take them, we'd hang out on the weekends, even when I was off, because I looked at them as like my younger brothers, and I really found a love in that. And I still did not realize that was my calling. Mm. I just thought this was a good job. But what really made me question what I was doing and kind of really changed my trajectory to where I am is there was a day that I saw a young guy, and I'm not going to say his name. We'll just say B. Mm-hmm. And I saw a little B on the street, and I was in the neighborhood that I grew up in. And I said, "Why aren't you in school?" He was like, "Oh, I don't have time for school." And I said, "What do you mean you don't have time for school?" I'm like, "You need school." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. Whose car is that? You're not even old enough to drive. You're not even old enough to have a license."
I don't. Him in a car.
Yeah, he's like, he says, "It's a rent-a-rock." I said, "A rent-a-rock?" I said, "Oh, and for those people who don't know what a rent-a-rock is, a rent-a-rock is a drug dealer who has drugs, and a drug user or drug addict will give them their car as a rental for drugs." A rent-a-rock. Okay. And so I was like, "Rent-a-rock?" I said, "So what you hustling now?" And he pulls out this wad of money, and he's flashing. And I started telling him about, why he shouldn't hustle, why he needs to get out the drug game. And he's like, "Do you know who I am?" And I said, "Yeah, I know who you are." It's like, "You be. Okay, I know your father." Right. And so he said, "I'm you." He said, "I always wanted to be like you." Oh, wow. He said, "I watched you." Mm. He said, "I kept saying, I'm gonna be like John. I'm gonna be like Jay." Mm. I said, "And now you want to preach to me about why I shouldn't do what I'm doing?" Wow. And that right there was the day that really made me say, "Wow." Mm. The next time I want to live a life that if someone is going to look at me, if someone is going to do what I'm doing, I want it to be positive. Right. And so that was that. I would say that was really the beginning of this journey that I'm in.
Wow. That's a beautiful story, a transformation story, I would say. I know you shared a couple things with me before, but that's the first time I've heard that one. So
it's a lot. When you make bad decisions. Yeah. When you make bad decisions in your life, I saw this shirt once, and it said, "Bad decisions make really great stories." Yeah. And because I am someone who have made a lot of bad decisions, that's what gives me the passion to work with young people, because I don't want them to make those same decisions. Yeah. And so, what the devil thought it was for bad, God has used it for good. Yeah. And so I'm able to use the drug use, the drug dealing, the lifestyle, and a lot of bad decisions, whether it's relationships, I'm able to use that now to be able to tell a young person, my perspective and just my background, and and tell them my story in hopes that it will make a change, that they will just kind of hear and listen and be like, "Oh, okay, let me do something different."
Awesome. Now, when did your love for God, when did that come into play? Were you already, feeling the call on your life to or did that happen later in life?
That happened. The drug dealing. No, the drug addiction is what made me call.
Okay.
I had seeds, and I want to bring up seeds because I think
is a program.
No, seeds. SEEDS. I had spiritual seeds.
Okay.
My parents made me go to church.
Okay.
Didn't want to go to church, but they made me go to church. I also went to a private school. I went to a Christian school, so we were taught Bible.
Okay.
Now I was the worst. I was one of the worst students in there. Not paying a bit of attention, cutting up, doing everything I could possibly do to get in trouble. But they were seeds, and I had I was also fortunate to had godly parents. I had a father who was a very, very he wasn't religious. He was a man of God.
That's right.
And so he lived his life. So those were the seeds that I received. So I knew that there was a God, although I didn't want to have anything to do with the church. I wanted to live my life and go out here and just be buck wild and have fun. So I thought it was the drug addiction. It was nothing. It was me being, face down, just on the ground. Had lost everything and just realizing that I needed help. And I've been, I went to a couple of NA meetings, and I had friends who I had a friend, my pastor. I'm gonna give him a shout out. Pastor Keith Battle. Yeah. He was the one who took me to a drug rehab. Back in the 80s. Now I didn't stay. I was when I tell you I was off the chain. He took me. He introduced me to this drug rehab, and he was supposed to have been dropping me off, and I got there and listened to. I was like, man, I ain't feeling this place, But just having that support, and so, but knowing that there was a God, knowing that okay, I need help, and it was me crying out to him, crying out to God, okay, I need your help. And it didn't happen. It did not happen overnight. It took 3 years praying to get off crack.
Yeah.
And so, because I realized now that at the time I was, I didn't understand. I'm like, come on, God. You all powerful. You can do anything. Make me stop using drugs. I don't want to use drugs. You don't want me to use drugs. I still, but I keep using drugs. Just snap your fingers, say something, do something.
You thought God was some kind of magical trick.
Well, but I know the power of God, but what I didn't understand was his timing. And so his timing was the way it was because I appreciate that struggle, that cry, the days and the nights that I would just slip up and be like, it has helped me stay focused. It's helped me stay on track. It's helped me be sober in that perspective, because I don't ever want to go back to that, and so I give all my credit to God, and so that's where that spiritual light came in, and so once I got off crack, I remember, praying is like, okay, God, whew, you did it. Tell me what you want me to do. I'll do anything. And I remember one of the first people I called was Pastor Keith Battle. Yeah. And I'll never forget. I remember, I called him. I said, man, I don't do crack no more. He was like, praise God. I've been praying for you. I said, yeah, all I do now is smoke weed. And he says, okay. He says, so all these years the devil's been meeting you with a white stick. I said, yeah, man. I said, I don't mess with that crack no more. He said, yeah. He said, the devil took that stick, he took it around the corner, and he took some sandpaper and he stripped it. And he came back. He said, now it's a natural stick. And I'm like, huh? He says, Jonathan, he said, it's the same stick. I was like, wow.
That sounds like my pastor.
You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for a pat on the back. He said, you still get beat. Right. You was getting beat, with cocaine and crack. now you get beat with marijuana, with weed. And although, I could say, I'll just say it's been over 30 something years since I've done crack, marijuana it took a lot longer for me to stop using that.
Yeah.
And so, but again, prayer.
Yeah.
Prayer.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm glad you shouted out my pastor, right?
Oh yeah,
Zion Church has been my home for since 2009, and okay. I can see Pastor Battle being that person. I see him being that person today. He just interviewed a long lost cousin that only just came to the family to be a help to him. So he's always had, I believe, that attitude and that ability to step up to the plate and help individuals out.
Servant's heart.
He's always been had a
servant's heart. It's always, he's about people. He's about trying to make a difference and help people.
Yeah, for sure. So if anybody's looking for a church home, Zion Church is where it's at. We on the online anywhere.
Zion anywhere. You got Zion Greenbelt.
Yeah.
You have Zion Landover. You have Zion Fort Washington, and you have Zion Woodbridge.
There you go. So if you need a place to go where you can be, shepherded and taught the Word of God in a way that's relatable, and transferable to what you see today in life, that's the place to go. Well, I'm glad you found God in the way that you found it, because that's your story, that's your testimony, that's what makes you who you are today. I think that it has a lot to do with the fact that you are currently a social change maker, and that you'll continue to be. Anything else you would like for us to know before we, close out?
I can't. I mean, you said I'll be back, so we'll. Yeah. This is ongoing. I mean, I just in regards to, if we're talking about nonprofits, organization, and us really trying to help nonprofits, I would definitely say make sure you have God, in the center of whatever organization, company, nonprofit, whether it's for profit, nonprofit, and just make sure you have a strong team. Yeah. That's important. Make sure you have a very competent team. And age and race doesn't matter, because although no one can see that we're being recorded by a superstar young brother. That's right. So that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming to the podcast and being willing to help us tell the story of what it looks like to be successful in nonprofits, for sharing your story and letting us know a little bit about who you are, and being willing to come back and give more of that, and share more of those stories, because I know you got a lot of menu. I've heard quite a few. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to partner with you on something like this, because it's very important to me as well that we share as much as we can with the young people, give them as many opportunities as possible. So for all of you out there who resonate with this type of content, please show some love, subscribe to our channel, and hit that like button, and let us know what other kind of content you'd like to hear as it relates to nonprofits, as it relates to sharing, any wisdom you have for our youth, and just give us any feedback that you have on our podcast today. Until next time, this is Social Changemakers Podcast signing out.